Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, does Stephen A. Smith have something personal against Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Please make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever the content comes out so you don't miss it. Also, I want you guys to check out our Dreamerspro Max. It's an online sports community that we created. It's a place where you go and start basketball discussions, chat live during games, go live with us after games, consume original content that you're not going to be able to get on the channel, and do so many other cool things. If you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out. We have that linked in the description below and get 7 days of free access. People are still signing up, and the people that are on there are pretty much enjoying it a lot. So check it out if you haven't already. So anyway, let me get into this topic here. So this is a subject I feel like I broached before. I feel like we've been here before at least 2 or 3 times this season. The reason why it seems that way is because it seems like something that keeps reoccurring. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on between Stephen A. Smith and Kawhi Leonard. There's some kind of personal thing going on there in the background that I don't understand, right? Stephen A. Smith talks about Kawhi as if Kawhi Leonard is like accomplished nothing in the NBA, or like as if he's just some all-star, some perennial all-star, like some one-hit wonder type of guy. He talks about the guy like as if Kawhi Leonard has never won a title before, like as if he's never won a Finals MVP before. He comes on TV and he's talking about Kawhi like as if Kawhi Leonard has something to prove to somebody. Like, that's the part that kind of irks me with Stephen A. Smith. I'm not saying, as Kawhi Leonard be my favorite player currently, I'm not saying that Kawhi Leonard's legacy is set. I'm not saying that Kawhi Leonard should retire tomorrow and he's in the top 15 of all time. I'm not saying none of that. What I'm saying is the guy has accomplished some pretty unique things in his NBA career so far. And Stephen A. Smith comes out there and talks about him like as if he's just some dude out there that's just getting lucky. You don't have the type of resume that guy has by luck. It doesn't happen. If that was the case, there'll be many other players out there. How many of us have heard NBA players talk about it's really hard to win a title? And this dude has won it twice, and not just won it twice, he's won 2 Finals MVP. Like, people act like as if it's something. He just has 2 regular season MVPs, like it's something easy. Let me tell you some of the guys that have 2 Finals MVPs that come to mind. 2 or more. LeBron James has 4. Kevin Durant has 2. Kawhi Leonard has 2. I think Tim Duncan has 2 or 3. These are like, how many players do we have in the NBA over the past 20 seasons? These are the only 2 guys that I think they have at least 2 Finals MVPs. There are a bunch of guys that probably have 1. How many have 2? Even some people sitting there arguing with me talking about, Stephen Curry doesn't even have 1. Like, what are we talking about here? There aren't that many players that get Finals MVPs. This guy has 2. You're talking about LeBron, KD, Kawhi, and he comes out here talking about Kawhi Leonard like as if he's just some dude. So, before I go too far, I was listening to him talking on ESPN again about Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers this playoff, saying that if Kawhi Leonard doesn't show up, no matter what happens in the playoffs, if Paul George doesn't show up, nothing like that, it's still going to be Kawhi Leonard's fault. So if you guys haven't heard that, take a listen to Stephen A. Smith talking about spewing his nonsense again about Kawhi Leonard. Take a listen to that.
Get it all, but in the end, you got to show up. And if Kawhi Leonard, listen, if the Los Angeles Clippers don't make it to the conference final,
let me ask you something.
The number 1 person you must look at is Kawhi Leonard.
Let me ask you something. If they don't make it to the conference finals,
right?
And who do you predict it will be who has underperformed? Kawhi, Rondo, or Paul George?
I would tell you it would be Paul George based on history. Right. Based on history. Because Rondo shows up in the playoffs, and Kawhi has too, except Game 7 last year. But what I'm saying to you is, again, similar to what I was talking about with Westbrook, I know what you can do. I know your numbers. That's a given. The point is, you got to finish the job. And if you're Kawhi Leonard and you know Ballmer did all of this because you're trying to build a new arena where the former
because
LA
Kawhi said, get me Paul George or I'm not coming.
Where the LA Forum used to be, you're trying to build a new arena there. You're trying to establish yourself in LA. This is what you're trying to do. It's a big deal. That's why he did all of this.
So let me get
and
this
you
straight.
got to at least get us to the conference final.
By that logic, though, like if LeBron, who chose Kyrie, right? Like he comes back to Cleveland because he sees Kyrie, goes, I can win with this cat, right? And then brings in Kevin Love also. If Kyrie didn't play big in Game 7 against the Warriors and they lose, that's on LeBron? No, that's like LeBron identified a killer in Kyrie. If anything you want to criticize Kawhi about is that he thought Paul George had something in him, which might be there, by the way. I'm rooting for Paul George just like you are.
Paul George does
it
have
might be there, and he might do it, but he hasn't done it yet.
The problem with Paul George is that you're constantly asking him to be that dude that scores regardless of being contested, whatever. Nothing is coming easy for Paul George because nobody is facilitating anything easy for Paul George. That's why Rondo's going to be so important.
That's why the pressure's on him, because he has that now.
But I'm not saying that Paul George doesn't have to produce. I'm saying in the end, if the Clippers come up short, how dare anybody look at Paul George before they look at Kawhi Leonard? You didn't show up in Game 7 either.
So if Kawhi drops 30 a night, hits clutch shot after clutch shot, and they come up short against a monster like Denver or Utah, and Paul George doesn't put that on Kawhi.
Now, in that soundbite, you hear Stephen A. Smith saying a lot of things. If you saw the visual, which we cannot put on the channel, quickly, let me just address this momentarily. Some people have made some suggestions, and I understand that people want to give their feedback and suggestions to the channel. We welcome that all the time as long as it's constructive. And some people have said, why don't you put highlights and videos and clips and all of this stuff? Let me just say this. All of those content creators that you see out there that put highlights and clips and all of that stuff, any of them, name them, all of them, name them, any of them. None of them own any of that content. They don't own any of them. They don't own a drop of it. They're licensing this content, number one. Number two, if they're not licensing it, which is pretty expensive to do, right? You're talking about at least having $1 million, $2 million for any of these, for the NBA and any of these guys to even take you seriously, number one. So if you have $1 or $2 million, then you can probably have a chance to go up there and probably license your content. On top of that, you still have to be good. A lot of these bigger channels that you see them doing that, they either licensing the content or they're using it and their videos are getting copyrighted. They're like this getting copyrighted all the time. These guys don't own any of their content. Everything that we're producing here, we own 100% of it. Makes no sense to do all of this work and then go put a highlight video of something you don't own and then get copyrighted or have YouTube take your video down. That's the reason we don't use it. It's a practical business reason we don't do that. A lot of these guys you see doing that, they don't own any of that content, right? And if they do, they own bits and pieces of it and they're always dealing with copyright strikes. Makes no sense. Secondly, if I had $1 million to invest in my business, I wouldn't spend $1 million putting in to get licensed content. I'd hire some people to work on our website and do other things. So we're never going to do that because we don't own that content. We can do audios because audios is under the fair use, but videos and all that, you don't own that. So we're not going to use any of that. Just to give you guys the practical reason as to why we don't do it. A lot of these guys that do it out there, either they don't know it or they're too stupid to do something else. Like they have no other creativity except to put clips in the back of their videos or in front of their videos because they themselves are not creative enough to speak in front of the camera. So that's the reason why I'm telling you guys that. So because some people have said that, and that's the reason why there's an actual business reason why we don't do that, because we don't own that content. So you can't do that. It's like putting Jay-Z songs on the back of your videos and you're playing it. It's like put some nice music, but put Jay-Z's, but it's not your music. So you do that, they're going to copyright you and you're going to have to bring it down. It's the same exact thing, except this time. And also other sports don't even allow you to do. You see a lot of NBA guys doing it. I mean, yes, some of them have the money to go out and license it. Other sports you can't put any NFL videos on the back of your thing. Do you see anywhere? NFL doesn't allow content creators to put NFL highlights on their videos, number one. Number two, maybe under some exceptional rules, I've seen some NFL former quarterbacks who have NFL channels that teach people football. I've seen them do it. I don't know if they have some type of deal with the NFL. Usually you can't do that. Formula One, you can't even go online and look for another video. Go on YouTube and look for videos where you see Formula One highlight videos. The most you're going to see is images. You're not going to see any videos apart from the Formula One channel. So you just can't do it, and we can't do it either because we don't own that content. Anyway, let me get back into this. I just wanted to give you guys sort of the business reason why we don't do that. So hopefully it's clear to you guys. Yes. So in that soundbite, Stephen A. Smith is there talking about he believes that no matter what Paul George does, no matter what he does, if he comes out there and lays another egg, right? it's still going to be Kawhi Leonard's fault. And Max Kellerman, what I can't show you guys, but you guys can look for the video. Max Kellerman was looking at Stephen A. Smith like as if he was he was looking at Stephen A. Smith like he had 4 eyes on his face. He was like, "What are you talking about? How can it be Kawhi Leonard's fault if Paul George goes into the playoffs again, lays another egg, and you're going to be sitting here looking at Kawhi Leonard?" And he looked at Stephen A. Smith, and then Stephen A. Smith, at a certain point, you realize that he couldn't make sense out of what he was saying. He's like, "Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You still got to look at Kawhi." And I feel like Stephen A. Smith has been making this thing personal with Kawhi Leonard, and I don't understand what it's all about. There's no way you can look at the situation with a straight face, say Paul George comes up, flames out in the playoffs, and all of a sudden you're still going to be looking at Kawhi Leonard. Then he brings up the situation of, well, Jamal Murray dropped 40. What did he drop in the first round? What did he drop in the first round? Who's the defender you're going to put on Jamal Murray to stop him? Like, what are you talking about? Kawhi Leonard was putting like 40-point plus games in the playoffs last year in the Eastern Conference against the Philadelphia 76ers. And Ben Simmons couldn't stop him. No knock on Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons could be the defensive player of the year. But when some guys get it going, you're not stopping them. And then I think he's trying to make that point to say, well, Kawhi Leonard's not a great defender. So you name me the defender, the primary defender in the NBA that you're going to put on Giannis Antetokounmpo for a 7-game series and say, you go guard him. Who's the player? Last time I checked, Kawhi Leonard was the only one that I saw do that. He was the primary defender. He had help defenders. Go look at Giannis Antetokounmpo's percentages when he was playing against Kawhi Leonard. They were horrendous. So Stephen A. Smith coming out here talking like as if Kawhi Leonard is some chopped liver. I don't understand what his gripe is all about with this dude. To be quite honest with you, I don't understand what it is. And jokers are going to side with him. Some jokers, some basketball novices are going to sit up there and say, "Oh, well, I understand what he's saying. Yeah, Jamal Murray dropped." These are novices. They don't pay attention to the sport at all. Then Max Kellerman made up another point. So you telling me if LeBron James goes and get Kyrie Irving, goes to the NBA a championship round, Kyrie Irving flames out, LeBron balls out, it's going to be LeBron's fault? Like, what are we talking about here? So listen, Stephen A. Smith has something against Kawhi Leonard. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's something behind the scenes that we don't know about. He likes to talk about this thing of, oh, and Kawhi Leonard was asking for favors. I've done this before. I don't want to belabor this point. Listen, all these players ask for things as they come into the league, right? For Stephen A. Smith to be the guy that the man behind it that knows everything, for him to be making it some type of news about Kawhi Leonard when he knows the dudes have been doing this all this time, to me makes no sense. It makes no sense for him to kind of single the guy out. There's so many things. I'm not going to get into this video because I don't want to make it about other people. But there's so many things that go on in the NBA and other sports. Why are you singling out this guy? So listen, I think a lot of the points that Stephen A. Smith makes about Kawhi are petty, are stupid, and are uncalled for. To be quite honest, I don't understand. I don't see anything he's saying. Max Kellerman sometimes tries to throw him a bone and say, "Oh, I see what you're saying." I don't see anything that Stephen A. Smith is saying. And to me, I think he just, the issue that he has with Kawhi Leonard that's personal is beginning to show on TV. And to me, I think it's just weird. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think is going on between Stephen A. Smith and Kawhi Leonard? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoy the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, it's Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day. Catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.